Welcome to the Gras training program. This lesson explains how materiality-based scoring is used in the infrastructure asset assessment and how it applies to the management and performance components. We recommend that you first watch the lesson, Asset Assessment Structure, before following this lesson. We'll first introduce materiality and how it is used in the Gras materiality-based scoring process, and describe the materiality factors and their influence on determining weights for ESG issues. Next, we'll look at how materiality-based scoring applies to both the management and performance components. Finally, we'll introduce our materiality and scoring tool and explain how it can assist your understanding of how materiality-based scoring applies to the asset assessment. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to understand how materiality-based scoring influences the asset assessment. As infrastructure is a diverse asset class, it is clear that an ESG issue that is material for one asset, say health and safety of users for a hospital in Kenya, is not material to others, for example, an offshore wind farm in the North Sea. The relevance depends on the asset's sector, location, and other factors that are entity-specific. Gras therefore uses materiality-based scoring to ensure that all assets are assessed and scored based on the ESG issues that are most material to their circumstances. Materiality-based scoring is driven by the Gras materiality assessment, which uses a series of factors and questions specific to the entity to determine the materiality of ESG issues based on the answers provided. This assessment is built into an indicator in the Asset Assessment Reporting Characteristics, RC7. Completing this indicator determines the materiality or level of relevance for each ESG issue used in materiality-based scoring. It is therefore important that the reporting characteristics are completed prior to the rest of the assessment. This diagram explains the process. Let's walk through it. The first part of the process is contained within the Gras Materiality Assessment Indicator, RC7. In this indicator, a set of 15 simple questions relating to materiality factors are answered using simple drop-down selections. The factors include, for example, the primary sector of the asset, its primary location, whether it is on contaminated land, and the number of customers it serves. For 6 of the factors, answers are drawn from other indicators, RC2, RC3, and RC5. The materiality factors are listed here with their associated questions. There are a set of answers to choose from for each factor, with the example shown here for primary location. Each of the materiality factors is associated with one or more ESG issues, so that as the factor questions are answered, the materiality of the ESG issues is determined. Note that the materiality is fixed for some ESG issues. In other words, they are the same for all participating assets. Through referencing industry frameworks and working with our governance groups and stakeholders over many years, we have determined that the following ESG issues may be material for infrastructure assets and their investors. These issues are not static and are reviewed with our stakeholders each year. There are 4 possible materiality levels that can be assigned to ESG issues, and these directly translate to a scoring weighting in the assessment. Materiality levels of no and low relevance are weighted 0, meaning not scored. Medium relevance has a weighting of 1, and high relevance a weighting of 2, that is, double that of medium relevance. Consider this example. For the materiality factor primary location, the question is the entity's primary location in developed countries, developing countries, or mixed? The possible answers are developed, developing, or mixed. In this example, we choose developing. This factor links directly to 5 social issues and 4 governance issues and sets their materiality and corresponding weighting as shown. Once the Gras materiality assessment is completed, or all 15 questions are answered, the entity-specific materiality weighting for each of the ESG issues is displayed at the bottom of the indicator in the portal. The materiality weightings for the ESG issues then apply throughout the asset assessment. In the management component, this is in 9 of its indicators, and in the performance component, in 14 of its indicators. Let's look at the management component first. There are 2 aspects, policies and risk management, and 9 indicators where materiality-based scoring applies. Here you can see an example for the indicator on environmental policies. This indicator scores how well an asset's policies cover material environmental issues. The example shows the materiality for each of the environmental issues. Issues deemed to have no or low relevance are weighted 0 or not scored. Medium relevance has a weighting of 1, and high relevance a weighting of 2, or double that of medium. So the asset can achieve a full score for this indicator if its policies cover the issues of high and medium relevance. The issues of no or low relevance are not considered in scoring at all. This same approach applies across all 9 of these management component indicators. See the lessons Asset Assessment Management Component Part 1 and Asset Assessment Management Component Part 2 for more detail. Now let's look at the performance component. In this case, the indicators each address one specific ESG issue, so the materiality weightings from the Gras materiality assessment apply directly to the weighting of each whole indicator. This table shows an example of the application of materiality-based scoring to the performance component. You can see here that indicators relating to ESG issues of high relevance are weighted highly, in this case energy, and medium relevance moderately, greenhouse gas emissions, biodiversity and habitat, health and safety of employees, and customer satisfaction monitoring. Indicators relating to issues of no or low relevance are not scored. In this example, you can see that only 5 of the 15 possible indicators are scored. Participants may still choose to report data for the unscored indicators, for example, if you know that your investors want to see such data. The weighting of the indicators is automatically redistributed to ensure that the performance component retains its overall weight of 60% of the asset assessment. Both the materiality level and the maximum score or weighting will be shown in the portal at the top right for each indicator in the performance component. See the lesson on asset assessment performance component for more detail. GRAS values transparency, which is why we publish all of our standards and methodologies online. In relation to materiality-based scoring, we recognize that some of the inner workings of this are hard to conceptualize as they operate in the background in the portal. For those who want to better understand the materiality-based scoring and how it applies to their assets, we provide an Excel-based materiality and scoring tool, which is downloadable from our asset assessment and resource pages on the Gras website. It is also included in the Materials tab of this lesson. The tool fully duplicates the materiality functionality of the Gras Materiality Assessment Indicator in an easy-to-follow and transparent layout. It also provides the ability for the participant to record their own view of materiality and provide this as feedback to GRAS. In 2 simple sheets, it shows the relationship between the materiality factor answers and the materiality levels assigned to ESG issues. Finally, it has a scoring sheet which shows how the indicator weightings are modified by materiality-based scoring. It is well worth having a look at this tool. That concludes this lesson. Thank you for taking the time to complete it. We hope that it helped you understand the asset assessment's materiality-based scoring system. For any questions, you can contact us at gresb.com/contact.